What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, quickly, I have a new lighting setup. Hopefully, you guys like it. Let me know if you can notice a difference. I think it's a lot better. So let me know what you guys think. But in today's video, I put up a poll on Twitter to see like what you guys wanted to hear me talk about. There were 4 options. I'll probably talk about the other ones later in the week, but sometimes I put out on Twitter when I'm like, I have a couple ideas. I follow on Twitter if you want to get any contributions or anything like that. If you're like, hey, you should talk about this, Twitter's the best place to let me know your thoughts and ideas for me to talk about. But Greg Roman's play calling was definitely the biggest thing that people wanted to hear about. And it was one of the biggest things that we saw in the post-game stream from myself and Joshua. And a lot of people were bringing up Greg Roman. And we talked about it a little bit, but I was like, hey, I kind of still want to rewatch everything and be like, okay, let's really fully analyze it. Because, a lot of times right when the game ends, it's very easy just to say, oh, the play calling was terrible. And I, went back and looked at it, and I'm going to give my thoughts, but I do want to know what you guys think. What do you think about Greg Roman's play calling? And I'm particularly talking about the Baltimore Ravens' final 2 drives against the Rams, because I will say, I thought that Greg Roman did a pretty good job for most of the game. But I'm talking about the final 2 drives, because the Baltimore Ravens, with Lamar Jackson, with Greg Roman, the problem has always been the same. It's the big situations when the play calling gets bad. The big games, the playoff games, the final drives, the 2-point conversions. Those are the situations that we as Ravens fans get frustrated. It's rare that the Ravens come out in a non-important game and have a horrible game plan, have a horrible play calling scheme. It's pretty rare. It really doesn't happen that often. Greg Roman does a good job with that. It's when it gets to the biggest stage, playing against the Chiefs, playing against the Titans, playing against the Bills, when it seems to fall apart. And this game was very clearly a must-win game. Because otherwise, a situation like the Ravens are in right now, where the Ravens need to win and have a lot of other help to make the playoffs, winning this week would have made a big difference in that. However, they did not. And it was a big time game. So let's look at it. What did the Baltimore Ravens do in their final 2 drives? So let me lay out the situation. The Baltimore Ravens get the ball. They are up 16-14. And there is about 11 minutes left in the game, give or take. All right. The Ravens then go on a 59-yard drive. And I'm sorry I'm looking down. I have all my notes up and things like that for me to get all the numbers and things like that. Now, the goal from this drive was very clear. The goal for the entire game was very clear. Keep the ball out of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp's hands. How do you do that? Control the clock. The Ravens wanted to control the clock. They had been leading the entire game. They'd been getting turnovers. They had been running the ball, and they were maintaining time of possession. That was the goal. And so what did they do on this drive? First play, run it with Devontae Freeman. He got a big run for 32 yards. I think it was his biggest run of this season. Biggest run in a long time for him. Then another run from Tyler Huntley. And then, they threw a pass to Hollywood Brown, and then it was run. You get the picture. It was mostly runs on the drive. Ended up being a 12-play drive that took up 7 minutes and 39 seconds. All of that seems great, except for when you think about the score. 16-14 against the Los Angeles Rams, a high-powered, potent offense that the ball had been moving for the Rams. The Ravens had just gotten some turnovers, which is why they were still outscoring the Rams. I didn't feel like it was a game where the Ravens defense was locking up the Rams. They did have some critical key plays where they did force some stops, but I felt like the ball was still being moved well. Chuck Clark had just made a couple of great plays. Tyus Bowser also made a great play. So that was how they were getting their stops. It was through turnovers rather than, just completely locking down. But the Ravens knew, or you think that they would have known, you got to get a touchdown here, right? Because if you get the ball at the end of this drive, there's about 4 minutes left in the game. The Rams have the ball, right? They could drive down and score a touchdown and take the lead and potentially get a 2-point conversion. So the Baltimore Ravens get it. It's 3rd and 1 at the Rams 7. They keep pounding the rock because it's kind of working, right? Latavius Murray gets the first down. 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. This is when the questions are starting to come in. All right, this is where it's happening. Latavius Murray ran the ball at the right guard for 2 yards, for 3 yards to the 2-yard line. You know, you have to remember when you're thinking about this, the Rams have Aaron Donald. But also, I think a lot of people have been critical about these plays. Remember how they got there. I think so often we as Ravens fans look at what happened at the end and we see like, it's so often where it's like, oh, the Ravens were passing the ball so well all game and then they stopped passing the ball and then they lost. This wasn't that type of situation. They ran the ball this drive. They had 1 pass attempt up to this point on this drive. It was big run after chunk play. They run the ball. They get to the 2-yard line with Latavius Murray. Then they called an interesting run play that it took a little bit longer to develop. It wasn't a power or anything like that. And Latavius Murray ended up getting stopped in the backfield. And it was a 2-yard loss. So all of a sudden it's 3rd and goal from the Rams 4. And on the broadcast, Greg Olsen was calling the game. I felt like he brought up a great point. And I believe it was Greg Olsen. If I'm remembering incorrectly, I apologize. I think it was Greg Olsen. He made up a great point where he was like, a lot of teams, you know, when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, when you have a guy like Tom Brady, when you're in the, goal to go situation, being at the 9-yard line, the 10-yard line, in some situations may be a little bit easier because it opens up the field to get the pass routes open and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady aren't extremely efficient from the 1-yard line. They are. But with the Baltimore Ravens, what Greg Olsen brought up was that the threat of the run and the pass is what makes this team so difficult to stop. And so them being at the 4-yard line, I felt like it was still an opportunity where they could run or pass the ball. Okay. And I would not have been disappointed if they had run the ball and tried to get, 2 yards, 3 yards, even if they didn't score a touchdown. My philosophy in that situation would have been, we are scoring a touchdown or nothing. Or nothing. And I know that that's the way that the Ravens have lost the last 3 or 4 games. Has been decision making. It's been, let's go for 2. That's what it's been. That's how they've lost. And they haven't gotten it. In this situation, I was hoping that they would run it again. If they didn't get it, they'd get to waste more clock. And then they would attempt the 4th down play. If they had lost like 3 or 4 yards on the next run and it was, 4th and goal from the 7, no, don't go for it. But if you're inside the 2-yard line, then I would have gone for it. That's kind of what I'm saying here. So instead, the Ravens have a critical error. They get a delay of game. And I believe it was a passing play that was called because of the way that the play kind of right when the ball was snapped, Huntley looked like he was doing a drop. But, can't tell 100% because, the play was blown dead. So maybe it could have been a draw or something like that. But I believe it was a pass call. That happens. The Ravens are backed up. All of a sudden, it's 3rd and goal from the 9. And they call a pass play. Mark Andrews was open. I think the play call there was good. Okay, I don't fault Greg Roman for that. They had the matchup they wanted. Mark Andrews one-on-one on the outside, running an out route, one-on-one against Jalen Ramsey, best on best right there. And Mark Andrews, I believe, won. They talked about it on the broadcast. They said Mark Andrews absolutely has a chance at this ball if Tyler Huntley throws it. Unfortunately, Ravens are going against like Aaron Donald and Von Miller and Leonard Floyd. So Tyler Huntley got pressured, didn't make the throw, should have made the throw, didn't make it though, and he ends up getting sacked. So play calling wise, I'm going to say I'm not upset. I felt like the execution maybe could have been better on that fourth down. The delay of game really hurt, but I was okay with it. Now, the final drive of the game now, I will talk about quickly. The Ravens needed to kick a field goal, starting with the ball at their 25. And it was like check down after check down, and that's not how you're going to do it. The Ravens had one timeout with 57 seconds left, and they did a 4-yard pass, then a 5-yard pass, and then the Rams called a timeout because it was fourth down and it was an incomplete pass, and then they threw the really quick pass to Mark Andrews, which was fine. You got to get the first down. I was okay with that. They call their timeout. And then Tyler Huntley ends up getting sacked, and that basically ended the game. Ravens got a delay of game, but I felt like the checkdowns were kind of ridiculous and how short that they were doing them. You got to get more than 4 yards of play when you only have one timeout in 57 seconds. I understand you have Justin Tucker. You still needed 30 yards to make it a 62-yard field goal. And I love Justin Tucker. I firmly believe he will make every kick that he takes. But you would ideally like to get to the 40-yard line, have it a 57-yard field goal. And that's still even a very difficult field goal. I'm not saying he makes it. I'm not saying he misses it. But you need to get a lot of yards. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities if you're calling those check down plays. So that is where I felt the Greg Roman play calling was poor. But I stand by the play calls at the goal line from Greg Roman. I honestly do. And I'm not someone that defends Greg Roman all the time. So don't think I'm one of those people that's like, Greg Roman can do no wrong. I've come on here and slandered Greg Roman countless times. I believe that he should be fired. But I want to say this game, I didn't think that final drive was poorly managed. Or the second to last drive was poorly managed. I felt like he did a good job. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. It's completely okay if you disagree with me. Just let me know. I want to have some civil discussions in the comment section and things like that. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content, and I will see all of you again tomorrow.